weird angle right now because I am in the process of recording a video. Right now we're going to be reviewing the HP OMEN 35L pre-built tower. These things are fantastic. Let's flip over. This is a quick look at it, side off, because I'm in filming, testing. It's a 35L from HP. I've already done one generation below this, and I really liked it. They sent this one over. It's not mine. This is a loaner. I have to send it back, obviously. And they said, you want to review this one? And I was like, yeah, I do, because I want to see how it changed generation to generation. It's fantastic. I've been recommending these OMEN towers over the past couple months because we know it's 2026. Prices are way the F up right now. Way the F up, as you know. Horrible pricing. So if you want to get into a gaming tower, these are a very good way to get into them because there's a couple reasons. One, they cost less. Building on your own can actually cost more than these towers, right? So back in the day, before the RAM apocalypse, the price apocalypse, the GPU apocalypse, it was, okay, you know, building on your own is potentially cheaper than the OEM. So which one do you go with? Do you want the benefits of the OEM? Do you want to build on your own? So you make that call. Now, which was, you know, that was a decision you had to make. Right now it's different because the OEM systems are usually cheaper now. So you get the benefit of the other argument that was already there, but now it's like, oh, but they're also cheaper. So it's like, okay, if you want to get into a system, not pay as much money, you probably get the OEM systems. The other thing is there's other benefits to these OEM systems. One, coherent warranty. So if something goes wrong on the system, I don't need to go in there and troubleshoot each of these components and be like, okay, which one was the problem, right? Was it the RAM? Was it the CPU? Was it the cooler? Was it this? Was it the motherboard? Was it the GPU? Right? And then take that product, put it in the box, and file a warranty claim and send it back to the company that it was responsible for it. Here, if something goes wrong, it's one whole product and HP will deal with it. That's a huge benefit for even advanced users because it's just easy. But of course, you know, if you're not an advanced PC builder, something goes wrong, HP will deal with it, right? That's a big consideration here.
Okay, let's have a quick peek at the HP website here. You can see that there are many different options. This is just the HP OMEN 35L. Right, you can get them all kinds of different options here, all the way up to a 5080. They come in white, they come in black. Today we're going to be looking at this one here, which is an awesome spec model. Looks like it's on sale. HP always has coupons and stuff too. And the specs for today, obviously it's a very good machine. 9800 X3D, obviously incredible CPU for gaming. RTX 5070 Ti, obviously incredible GPU for gaming. 32 gigabytes of RAM. Lots of different other goodies in here as well. So I'll put a link to this one here. Of course, you can get other options as well on other websites. There is the HP website. I'll put some links there. There's also, you know, Best Buy. This one looks like it's sold out because it was a good price, but you can also pop onto Best Buy here. I'll put some links in here to some of these different HP 35Ls here. I've seen lots of them here on Best Buy pop up. It's a good time to buy. We'll put it that way. Prices are way up on components. Getting into these pre-builts here can be a good way to keep costs down.
I'll put some links in the video description down below. If I can find affiliate links for anything, I'll put them down there, you know, like Best Buy, Amazon, HP, whatever. If not, I'll just put standard ones. If you use those links, by the way, it is very useful. Now, HP did send me this tower, but I buy most of the stuff that I review. HP does send me stuff from time to time. It's fantastic. I love that, especially nowadays. But I do buy the vast majority of stuff that I review, and it gets very expensive. Like, oh, look at this HP OMEN laptop that I'm working on a review of. Yeah, I bought it. So yeah, using those affiliate links does help me a lot. I don't take any sponsors on my channel. Okay, and there it is, the HP OMEN 35L. I have done a review of the HP OMEN 35L, but it was the previous generation, 4000 series NVIDIA, for example. And so when HP offered to send this over, just a loaner, of course, I'm going to say yes. They have the 35L, which is in the middle. Of course, they have the big, you know, OMEN Max type thing. This is for people who are looking for something middle-sized and not too gaudy. I reviewed the Panda one before. This is the black kind of stealth one, and it looks quite nice. It's just it's just an unassuming type of setup, which I like quite a bit. So, obviously, big fans here. You can't see them, but there are quite large fans there in the front. Look at the ports up here. We have headphones, 10 gigabit per second, so that's fast. That will facilitate things like this, like these faster enclosures, NVMe enclosures, that kind of stuff that are going to run faster. So if you're doing some gaming, file transfers, video editing, that'll be nice and fast there. 5 gigabit per second, that'll give you SATA type speeds, so something like this, right? Or a physical SATA drive, so that'll be nice and fast, 500 megabytes a second. I do a lot of gaming off this as well, so that's nice. Get some fast ports there. You get another one as well, so lots of fast ports on the top here, very easy to access. The I/O on the motherboard, these aren't meant to be, you know, crazy top spec things because they have one tier up, of course, but the ports are pretty good, right? You get 4 USB-A, not the fast ones like the front, but that's okay as well. 2 more USB-A, and these are fast ones, 5 gigabit per second. So you're going to get quite a few 4 fast, 5 gigabit, 4 slow. Slow for things like peripherals, like the USB dongles. Clear CMOS there, so if you want to reset your settings, there you go. 2 USB-C, 10 gigabit, 10 gigabit. This one also has display out, so you can actually display out of the motherboard. I'm going to be displaying out of the graphics card, obviously. That's fine. Okay, back here looks good as well. Wires are hidden reasonably well. These have been open. This is a review unit, so people have opened this up, messed with it, but you can see, right, nice and clean inside there. Nothing too gaudy, no mess or anything in there. It's looking pretty good. Okay, and here's a look inside. It's running right now. Isn't that interesting? A lot of systems these days, you know, they focus on the RGB, fish tanks, all the lights, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be quite honest. I appreciate that style. I'm not against it. I don't think it's ugly. It's just not for me. I'll put it that way. I like clean, right? I go with things like mini PCs, clean desk setups. My desktop, always going to be clean. I actually do like the look of OEM systems. People maybe think I'm crazy. Who likes an OEM system? They don't look, you know, they're not as gaudy. I actually prefer them, which is crazy. When I build PCs, you know, if I'm just building them to dig around with, I build them to look like this. Also, it's completely silent, by the way. I can't really hear it at all, but we have a nice big 120 millimeter fan right there. Very good. Nice stealthy. This model here, it depends how you spec this thing out. This model here has a 240 millimeter AIO, 120, 120. So we get that there, mounted in there. And you can see here it's a nice thick radiator with the fans mounted on. You could theoretically swap out those fans if you wanted and put on different ones, but this thing's running pretty quiet. We'll see when we get to the test part. That's looking good though. These do use standard parts, so you're not going to be struggling to upgrade these down the road. If you were to get it, for example, with air, you know, lower down the stack, and then you're like, okay, I want to upgrade this thing, put in a more powerful CPU or whatever, increase the cooling, keep it quieter. You can see here, this one is spec'd out very, very high, right? You have that big boy 5070 Ti. That is a huge 5070 Ti. I have, it's boxed up unfortunately, but I have another 5070 Ti, like an aftermarket 5070 Ti, and it's like that big. It's also thinner. It's like significantly smaller, and I mean, it runs fine, but it's not going to run as cool as this. This is a big, big boy. Okay, so before I take out the GPU, let's see what we can access here just looking in. So looking into the system here, we do have a lot of different components exposed, I would say, that you can get at right away. We do have the GPU, the PSU here, power supply, and it's a nice clean setup. It's like an OEM look to it, but it has a nice, you know, design, curved design to it. It just looks clean, looks nice. It's obviously 850 watts. That's pretty telling, which is more than enough for the system, right? 5070 Ti, 9800X3D. It's overkill, if anything. But that gives you more upgrade down the road, I suppose, if you go with beefier stuff. Look good. Nice clean wire management here, right? A lot of them go tucked out of here, so it is an exposed power supply, which is kind of a new thing. I see people, it's like old school, it used to be like that, and then it went away. You had to have your power supply hidden. And now it's coming back where it's like, no, you can show the power supply, it's fine. But this is an aesthetic looking power supply, so having it exposed, it actually looks clean. And then the wires, as we showed the back, they go away from the power supply into the back there. It is a modular power supply. Go into the back there and come back out where they need to. And like I said, it is a modular power supply. So you can disconnect the ones that you want if you don't need them. First fan in the front here, large 120 millimeter fan. It's going to blow directly into the GPU. We're going to take out the GPU as well, but that'll feed into there. The second one is going to just basically feed in here, and yeah, this is an exhaust style, so that's going to pull in cold air and exhaust out. That AIO is exhausting out, not intaking, so it's different. So you're going to get cold air going up in there directly from this, cooling the CPU. This one's going to pull in cold air into the GPU. It's going to exhaust out here, and then that hot air is going to get sucked out the back. Okay, so three screws to get that in there. I'm going to disconnect the power. There we go. There's more on the front here. So this is actually tied into the structure, which is good for shipping. This thing shipped without any like stuffing in here. Again, this is a review sample, so it's not the aftermarket one you'd buy. But this thing's going to keep the GPU nice and structured. There's nothing in here that would like get shipping damage from like being loose, because there's nothing loose. Lockdown, lockdown. This is all lockdown. This wire is just going to sit there, and this thing's rock solid. Like you have screw points there, 3, and in the front there. So it's good for shipping. It's a hefty ass 5070 Ti. Man, that's a heavy 5070 Ti. We'll get back to that. I don't want to spoil that part of the section of the video, but here we can see what else is inside. So it's a standard. Isn't that a interesting novel concept when you have standard parts? What do I mean by standard? It's just an M.A.T.X motherboard, right? If down the road, you buy the system and I don't know, in 2 years, 3 years, you're like, all right, I think it's time to upgrade. You don't have to get a whole new system. You can work within the HP system. Of course, you could just buy a new one of these or something like that. But if you want to work within the system, right, you don't have to necessarily, be like, I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. So of course you can upgrade on the motherboard. You can upgrade parts here. You can add stuff in. We'll do that in a second. But you can also do stuff like take out the motherboard, put in a different motherboard, and it uses stuff like standard power. That's a standard power right there. Standard CPU 8-pin, standard motherboard. Standard. Like I said, upgradable within this ecosystem, but if down the road you want to swap out this motherboard, put in a different motherboard, maybe you want to go Intel, right? There's a cool new Intel thing coming out, and you're like, you know what, I bought an AMD one, I want to go Intel, swap it out. Very cool. Anyway, so it's standard, and the power supply is standard as well, so that's good. But on this motherboard, it looks like it has good upgradability as well. So the first NVMe we've already seen. We have a second NVMe slot here that sticks under the GPU. It doesn't matter, it's fine to be under the GPU. There's no heat going into it. It's going to get a little bit of air flowing through there. You can, of course, put a heatsink on it if need be. Your choice. And you have 2 SATA ports here, so 1 and 2. So you can get up to 4 drives in here. You could put in 2 NVMe's. You could put in a hard drive or something. You could actually just sit it down here if you wanted with some double-sided tape. It's probably actually what I would do. But there's actually a lot of room on the back as well. So when you open that thing up, you could put a double-sided tape. If you wanted to put a hard drive like a 3.5 inch, or of course 2.5 inch would be tiny, or a little SATA SSD. I mean, you can put in a SATA SSD basically anywhere. Right, I'll just put one out here. These can just go wherever. Just double-sided tape it right there, wherever you want. Doesn't really matter. They're so small, but you can get lots of storage in here. So theoretically, right now you could put an 8, 16, and then for SATA, you could get a 32 of SSD storage, or you could put in hard drives as well. Don't do that. You do get a second slot down here on top of the standard PCI. It's a pretty big GPU, so it'll be a little tight there, but in theory you could put one in there. Nice metal framing on that. Just the PCI slot, just to prevent bending and that kind of stuff. You do have extra. There's your fans right there, 1 and 2. You have some up here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. That's the things there. Not too many extra fans, but you could get a splitter if need be, if you want to add more fans. But this thing's stacked out. 1, 2 fans there. AIO and that. You can't, there's nowhere to put fans. I guess you could like glue one to the bottom or something like that on that filter there. You could do that. RAM, technically you can get 4 slots there. And again, this is just OEM, SK Hynix RAM. It's not some weird one. So you could actually source that. I mean, right now we're in the RAM apocalypse. So not a lot of people are going to be like, all right, let's just randomly take this thing to 64. If you wanted to down the road though, you could, use this right here. And then down the road, you could source 2 more sticks. Okay, so here's a look at the GPU. This thing is effing massive. All right, that's a big, that's a big GPU, which is a good thing, right? So you're just going to run cooler. The 5070 Ti is not, it's not a hot GPU by any means as it is. They're quite efficient, to be honest. That's one of the benefits of, that started with Ada and is now very present in Blackwell, especially the 5070 Ti. It's a very efficient GPU. It doesn't need very high watts. So by having a big boy like this, you'll be able to, for one thing, have more just running cooler. If you like cooler GPUs, it could potentially be good for longevity. It's also going to run quieter because these big fans here aren't going to have to work as hard to keep it cool. So it's going to be essentially silent. You can potentially get away with a lot of idle, where the fans either are doing nothing or just kind of vibing. It doesn't have to rip when you're just basically doing nothing because it's not going to need that heat there. And potentially if you do overclocking, that kind of stuff, just more thermal headroom, that kind of stuff. So this thing's pretty intense. The actual length of the GPU, they probably have it on their site, but it is exactly, it's just over, does this thing not have, does this not have centimeters? Such a weird thing. So it's 13 0.2 inches. I don't know, you guys use fractions, I guess. Exactly, almost exactly 3 slot. The tiniest little bit, like a millimeter over a 3 slot. Big, big, big GPU. You can see the exposed radiators as well there, so the air will blow literally right through the GPU, which is also kind of nice. So you're going to get some heat evacuation out the sides, right? When it gets air going through it. And then on the back, it'll just blow right through the GPU. Okay, and here we are all set up, looking very nice, honestly, nice and sleek. I brought up my own personal OMEN Max 5070 Ti. They sent me actually a couple different ones to review as well. That's kind of nice, but this is mine. So I just put it out there just kind of like for the flex, because you get the whole setup look there. But there you go. It's a nice, clean, kind of darker setup. I just tucked it back slightly. I could have pushed it back a little bit further, but I wanted to leave a little further out so you can kind of, becomes the center of the show. That's the whole point there. I can hear that there's something on, but obviously it's very quiet. It's essentially my noise floor. I don't think this thing's sensitive enough to pick this up if it was on or off. It's incredibly quiet, just at idle, which is something that I care about because it does have an AIO. Sometimes AIOs can be kind of annoying. Right, like there's a less aggressive image there, so you can see what it looks like without more of a fisheye thing. It's just nice to use my DJI for this type of thing because it can capture all the footage. You know, you can see the desktop and the tower and everything, but you can see here, I mean, it's very clean, to be honest. It's a very clean setup here. Very nice. Okay, so let's jump in now and we'll start getting some tests. Check the programs installed. I'm going to show you a couple that are very necessary. I've installed a couple things, like I installed Brave, NVIDIA, OMEN Gaming Hub, keep that, and keep the audio control. Those are important. And another McAfee. So there's no like bloat in it per se. There's a couple HP programs that are optional, a couple that are critical, and then, you know, you just Windows stuff. So honestly, very clean systems, to be honest. So we'll open up the two HP ones that are important here, and I'm going to show you both of them and tell you why. So we'll get the OMEN one over here for a second. Let's close it down. It's too distracting. So this is the support assist here. So this is important software. You need this software. We'll put it that way. You can get your warranty stuff in here, all that information. You can come in here and you can actually chat with support. You can get help from support. So if something goes wrong with your system, right, you have one coherent warranty. It's one of the advantages of these OEM systems. You know, back in the day, you could say, well, the OEM systems, you know, they cost more, significantly more than building, but you get the advantage of the, you know, the OEM warranties. Now it's, they cost less and you get the advantage of the OEM warranties. So they're just really starting to look more and more compelling, obviously. Updates, you can come in here and you can get system updates. It will usually find them pretty coherently. I also do use the actual HP software, HP website to get hardware level updates. So I'm just gonna close that. So you can just come into HP support, you put in your serial number, which you can actually grab from there, come in here, put in your operating system, right? So, oops, that didn't actually do it. Go like that. And then there's other stuff in here. Now I actually did just update the BIOS. It's actually very new. 2026. That's a very new BIOS, so that's nice to see. They're obviously supporting these, but you can upgrade this other stuff. Most of this stuff, once it's updated, it's fine, right? But you definitely would want to check into things like BIOS updates because they can help with power, security, that kind of stuff. The other one that's obviously very important is the OMEN software. It's fairly lightweight on system, but there's a little bit of like junk in here, but they all do this, right? You get some like front end, you know, storefront stuff. I don't have any problems with that. It's not a big deal. This is kind of your system over here, some other crap over here. You just click on your system here, right? Click on that, and you get, this is the computer. So I have processes that are running, temperatures, Celsius, Fahrenheit. I'm Canadian, so we do Celsius. I think Americans do for computer stuff, to be honest. Storage, RAM, how much is being used, all this kind of stuff. How much of your cores and that kind of stuff, like just more in-depth information here, right? It's all cool stuff here. Your actual system information, kind of the same as we already checked. Now, performance control will be important. We will use this. You have balance mode and you have performance mode. These should affect fans for sure. They will also affect wattages. On my OMEN laptop, just right there, it does absolutely affect wattages because that's the way laptops work, and fans as well. There is also extreme mode, which it does claim we should go into the BIOS and switch that. And the CPU, CPU temperature is 35, GPU temperature is 24. That's a huge GPU, so it makes sense. These are your fan modes. You can just auto. Most of the time, you just leave an auto. There we go. Click on everything. Go into manual here, and then you can, the fan's just turned on because it's now in manual. You can set up your fan curves. I really like this, by the way, the software. You can set up your fan curves in here. So there's an actual fan curve. How do you want that to look? You can just turn these things down, right? If you live in a hot climate, or you really just don't care about fan noise and you just want stuff to run super cool, you can just run them. This thing, it's running so cool anyways, right? But you can really play with this kind of stuff, play with the different curves, all that kind of stuff. Dynamic fan curve is kind of probably, if you want to have a manual one, you can go with that, because that will, you know, affect where the fans kind of kick up, right? So you can say, you know, I don't want it to be running at 35 degrees at 25%. You can get warm. I'm okay with you getting a little warmer, right? Go like that. That's a more gentle curve. So if my idle temperature, where was it? Ambient temperature is 22, right? That's meaning that at 33, 35 is still not going to do anything. Really, it'll just keep hanging out at 20%. I would say, you know, I don't care. My system's 40 degrees. That means nothing. It might, I don't know how far you can bring it down. Yeah, it'll have a lower limit, right? Something like that. And then it's like, okay, once you start to get actually hot, okay, you can ramp up a little bit up here. Like these are usually the type of curves that I do, where it just takes a little longer for the fans to kick up. You can do that kind of stuff. It also tells you where they are, like where each fan is. See that there? So on your motherboard, if you put in new fans or you change around fans, whatever, you will know which one goes to what, which is awesome. You gotta love that. Honestly, you gotta love that. You can rename them too, right? We're going to go automatic because I want to see if this thing does an automatic here. So we'll go auto. I think it'll be fine. And we can try these different performance modes here. Like these. You can't really hear it anyways. It's not doing anything. But once we start doing things, we can start to play with these. We'll try a few different modes. Anyways, so there's more stuff in here. You have a AMD Advanced PBO. You can turn that on if you want. I don't typically use PBO, Performance Boost Overdrive. Is that how it stands for? Yeah, overdrive, yeah, jeez. I usually turn that off, but you can absolutely turn that on. It's up to you. I don't really play with it. It just it's more boosting and that kind of stuff. We're not really worried about it. Oh, so you can actually overclock right in here. 200 on the core, 400 on the memory. That will be, I mean, I'm just going to do it. That's nothing for a 5070 Ti, to be honest. Okay, so let's just run some Cinebench here. Can't remember what mode we were in. We'll bring that up. So we are in, apparently, let's go to performance mode, obviously. We'll start there. So it's still completely silent. 82, 81, 82, 79, 55. Again, it's silent. We can do more and get this thing going a little harder if we wanted. Now there's some fan noise. Wattage is here, like it's applying 130. So there's zero, what I'm saying here is there's zero thermal problems on this. It's going to be 21, yeah, 21,000, 22,000. It's pretty standard, to be honest. Now, because we're running, the fans are running more, it's running cooler, right? We're sub 80 now, no problems. And the wattage is there. So all I can say here is there's going to be zero throttling on the system here. Absolutely. Like on a 9800 X3D with that level of liquid cooling, as you'd expect, there is going to be no throttling here. Let's check the noise here under full load, full CPU load. Not problematic. You can definitely hear it. It's not an annoying fan. But, I mean, that's one of the things about liquid cooling. The AIOs are typically more close to you. They're on the external of the case. Air cooling are usually in the case. So, yeah, they might theoretically be slightly louder, but you can't hear them as much because the noise is contained to the case a little bit more. Not that this is a problem for me. It doesn't bother me. So we'll go like that. Okay, so let's just go like this. Just let that run. So that's that performance mode, right? Come over here, go to balance mode. I'm curious if it changes the wattages. So we were at 130. Yes, it does, straight up. So you can see there, that's 100. So 100 right there. Let's come back here. Performance. And it goes up to 116. So it's clear that the performance modes here do actually affect even the CPU. That's great. I love to see that. So if you need that extra bit of CPU, that's 130 watts on performance mode. Balance mode, it looked like it was 100. or 99.9, whatever. So 100 watts. That's 30% watt change based on balance or performance. Now it's been a while since I benchmarked at 9800X3D. Let's do it. Let's do it with the balance mode, see if it made any difference. Just let the system hang out for a sec. Let's just run it again with that balance mode. It's very cool here with that lower watts. When it was on the turbo mode, it was, getting up to 80 and then the fans had to kick up. Here, it's not getting that hot because the lower watts, right? So 30 watts lower is probably within the almost like the threshold of that AIO, keeping it cool with much lower fans. The performance shouldn't really change. Yeah, we lost like a few 100 points. These things don't gain much from throwing more watts at it. So to be honest, I would run it probably in this mode most of the time for CPU stuff. We're giving it 100. So at turbo, so performance is 130 watts, turbo is 100 watts with slower fans. Normal is 100 watts with even lower fans. Quiet, let's see how quiet this thing goes. Is it going to change the watts? 10? Okay. But again, 10 watts can make a difference for when you're getting it to CPU cooling, liquid cooling, that kind of stuff. You get to a point where it's like, what can these coolers handle with what level of fan? That's how they typically work, right? So it's probably tuned so that, at 10 lower watts, it still stays cool with lower fans. Now it is truly a silent system. We'll do Arc here, and maybe we'll do Cyberpunk or a different AAA title. I want to test games that benefit from the X3D cache. That's what we're trying to do here. Graphics, we're at 1440p ultra wide, right? We can lower the resolution, see what it's like at a lower resolution, but it's a pretty powerful GPU, so we'll give it like that. No frame gen. Unlimited FPS, 1440p. We can try native. Epic. Epic. Okay, so we're basically maxing the game out. We have 1440p ultra wide with no scaling. Okay, here we are in the game. Again, 1440p ultra wide native. It should perform very well, to be quite honest. I don't foresee any issues here. Right, we're getting over 100 FPS as a base. Lows of 60 and 45. We'll see a little further. I'm the type of guy who's totally fine with scaling. Some people don't like scaling. But again, this is 1440p ultra wide. It's not 1440p, it's not 1080p. It's between 1440p and 4K. So it's pretty good. It is on that turbo mode, so it's allowed to use whatever noise it wants. I'm fine with it at this point, but it's so quiet. It's about 1 dB above idle, which makes sense. I mean, it's a very powerful system. So we have those performances I've already said. What do we have over here? RAM. This is, I have some stuff open. You could, if you got this with 16 gigabytes, of course you could close some stuff down, but we're doing okay there. CPU power, it's not pulling too many, 60 watts, whatever. CPU usage, I mean, it's using a fair. Okay. Well, this is why I don't play these games. I'm just standing here looking at stuff and this guy's just killing people. Yeah, he feels really good about himself. Anyways, so we can see here, wattage on the GPU, 250, right? It's pulling a lot of watts. Very cool though. The GPU is at 58 degrees Celsius at full usage, and the CPU is only at 57 degrees. Okay, here's a look at the temperatures. We've been running Cyberpunk for a while. Just took the side off real quick, so it was running. Took the side off because it'll leak out heat. And look at the GPU is so cool. 12 volt high power. Nice and cool. Obviously it's exhausting out the sides here. Some of the little chips in that there. They look hot because they're red, but they're not actually hot, right? 50 degrees, 55 degrees. Very good. Very good. PSU, no problems. Okay, nice and cool. Let's look inside here. RAM, basically completely cool. There's one tiny little hot thing there, but it's still only 34 degrees. All these VRMs, super cool, right? Giant radiators on them. Right, this thing's running super cool. There's the SSD.
42.
And I mean, it makes sense, right? This is a airflow style case. You have two very large fans in the front here pulling air through. One feeds right into the GPU, and any heat will get exhausted out there. Second one pulls into the CPU there and gets exhausted out. So there's no persistent heat inside the system. It's getting exhausted out very easily, and it's a front-to-back airflow case, which is, these are what I built because they run nice and cool and they look clean. So no temperature issues at all on this thing here. And this is in Cyberpunk. Oh, heat. At reasonable usage here, so it's pretty good, right? Not bad at all. Pretty good performance, of course, right? This is why I don't play, probably. What was the point of that? Anyways, so yeah, looking pretty good, right? So we will use DLSS though. We'll go with balanced, which is more than enough. That's going to give us a pretty big jump, I would suspect. So balanced DLSS, we will put on transformer model, but we'll leave everything else still turned up. So it's still, max settings, but with some scaling. No frame gen, and it should be a pretty big jump. Yeah, and there you go, right? So we went, the base frame rate did go up a fair bit, like 30, 40, even 50, depending on where we were at. So it's pretty good. The lows came up a little bit, but if you want those higher frame rates, a little bit of scaling can make a big difference, as you can see that here. It runs very well. Good lows, right? 50-ish, 50 to 60 for the 0.1% lows, with the 1% lows being high. What I'm seeing there is, you're not getting micro hitching of sorts. That I don't think it's the biggest deal. We'll just go 2 times to start here. So 2 times frame gen. See, the lows don't come up much. So it does add more frames, but it doesn't add much to the lows. So you still could theoretically get the same drop down. I find that it actually can add more drop down. But however, the base frame rate is now extremely high, right? 200 FPS. My monitor doesn't even go that high, so. Right, running very well though, right? Turbo, something else. And again, we are on that turbo mode, but the system is not running remotely hot at all. And so because the fans are on automatic, it sees no need to heat itself up, put it that way. So yeah, it's running quite well. Let's try another game. That's enough of this game for me. Okay, so now we're in even further into Cyberpunk 2077, 1440p ultra wide native. So I mean, that's pretty damn good performance, right? We're gonna get above 60 on 1440p ultra wide native. So again, we're setting between 1440p and 4K. So very high, obviously. GPU still below 60 degrees. It's such a massive GPU, below 60 degrees. CPU 66 degrees, and that's after doing all the initial load up stuff. So it's going to run very cool, obviously. Wattage on the CPU is much higher here because it's heavier on the CPU game, 90 watts. GPU is pulling 250. Let's check how noisy it is in this game, which is more heavy on both. A couple dB more, but still very respectable. So in this case, I am going to try the different performance modes, mainly because I just want to see how quiet it is, if it makes any difference, if it's any quieter on performance, on the lower performance modes. Okay, so we'll come in here, performance control, or power options over here. So now let's go to balanced, and we'll go to like, I don't know, let's go quiet, see if it makes a difference in performance. I can't hear it at all anymore. So now let's look at the performance, like what were we doing this whole time. So we're gonna come in here, I've just been playing around with different stuff. So we'll go 1440p ultra wide back where we were before. Let's put on some ray tracing. So we'll go ray tracing ultra, we'll turn off scaling. So ray tracing ultra, no scaling, and it'll run fine, right? You're gonna want scaling, by the way, but you can see there, no scaling. 1440p ultra wide, ray tracing ultra, just with balanced scaling, no frame gen. Very good, right? Well above 60, very playable, Very good, honestly. It's going to be fantastic. You can use FrameGen. I'm not going to. You can use it as much as you want. It's your choice. We kind of know what a 5070 Ti 9800 X3D can do here. I'm just showing you guys because maybe you're not following all the like fine resolution numbers and guys who do bar charts and that kind of stuff. You're just like, what am I going to get if I buy this thing? So that's ray tracing ultra, right? Let's say you don't have an ultra wide screen. You have a 1080p, 1440p non-ultra wide screen, which is probably, ultra wides are pretty common now, but I'd say non-ultra wides are probably still more common. A lot of people picking up those, 27-inch OLED screens, non-ultra wide. They're becoming more and more popular. And you can see here what we're getting. It's quite good, right? Maybe you don't like ray tracing. I know a lot of people who don't like ray tracing or don't care about it. Me being one of them. So we'll go like that, ultra, 1440p, no scaling. Just gonna do some modes here, right? 1440p, ultra, no scaling, nothing. Basically 90 to 100 FPS, depending on where you're at. It actually went up. It just takes a moment sometimes for those algorithms to kick in. Right? Over 100 FPS, 1440p native. It's fantastic, right? Come in here. Maybe you do want more frames, so you can go in here and you can go, let's throw on some DLSS. I'm not against DLSS. I'm not a frame gen guy, but I'm not against DLSS. Especially at these higher resolutions. Like now you're at 145 FPS with lows of 90. You won't be able to tell that it's on. I typically use ultra wides recently. I don't know, I'm just in that meta right now. So 1440p ultra wide, right? Much higher resolution, so harder to run. But this is 1440p ultra wide, ultra with just a little bit of scaling. And look at that, like a lot of the time these ultra wides, they come with like 120 hertz refresh up to 165, something like that. So in games like this, you can really benefit and you can actually push those frames. So obviously it's going to run very well. So the performance on this thing is pretty stellar, right? It's an impressive system. We'll put it that way. Very good. I think we can wrap it up. Honestly, that's the OMEN, right? The OMEN 35L. I haven't done this one. I have recently, not too long ago, like maybe a month or two ago, did the 35L with a lower spec model, previous generation, just because I was like, how are they? It looks like, if anything, they improved them this year here. This is fantastic. The 9800 X3D is going to be able to stretch its legs here. You can get different specs, pick the one that you want. They'll all run very good. The GPU here is massive, right? It's a huge 5070 Ti. You love to see it because if you're paying money for the more powerful GPU, you're going to love to see something like that that has that extra cooling overhead there. Everything runs well in the system. It's just a very well-designed system. To be honest, this is the type of system that I would build, right? I've said that before. This type of system I would build. I would buy a case that looks like this. I would put in components that are more or less like this, like, maybe the OEMs are a little different, but this is the type of thing I would build. I would have a front to back airflow case, and it would probably be no RGB and be stealth like this. This is very similar to what I would build of a system. I like it. I think you guys, if you're looking right now to build, it can be very expensive to build a system right now. You can save a lot of money by getting these pre-builts. You can get into very respectable component build up. I don't know how long that's going to last. Eventually prices on these pre-builts might go up, I'm not sure, but for right now, 2026, we all know how bad the prices are on everything. These are very respectable. These OMENs are very nice because you pick them up and you start gaming and they are very good, right as they are. Everything is awesome in this system, but because they're standard, you can upgrade them down the road, right? You're not locked into anything here. So that's the name of the game here. Saving money, great performance, and allowing you to upgrade down the road should you want to. Good OEM, single brand warranty. HP services this whole thing, so if something goes wrong, you don't have to nitpick with it, which component was wrong, I don't know. You just get HP to deal with it, right? If you build your system yourself and something goes wrong, you do not have a coherent warranty. You have potentially warranty on different parts, but they're not necessarily coherent. You have to figure out what's wrong with it and send that part back for repair. Here, the whole thing is covered. So that's the OMEN 35L. It's great, fantastic. I'm going to give it an easy, strong recommend. After I read the last one, I've been telling people, like on my channel, YouTube, Discord, Reddit, blah, blah, blah. If I find these things on sale, I post them. I'm like, you grab it now because it's a good system, it's a good price, and you can upgrade as you go. So this is just reaffirming my already belief that I already had. So very good.